Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
All right, Tesla, another lawsuit. Let's see how this one works out. In California, this is San Francisco, one of the land of fruits and nuts. A California Tesla owner on Friday sued the electric car maker in a prospective class action lawsuit, accusing it of violating the privacy of its customers. You're going to like this, Chuck. The lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California came after Reuters reported on Thursday that groups of Tesla employees privately shared via an internal messaging system sometimes highly invasive videos and images recorded by customers' car cameras between 2019 and 2022. This is something around the lunchroom, something to talk about in the lunchroom. The lawsuit filed by Henry Ye, Y-E-H, Ye, a San Francisco resident, of course, who owns Tesla's Model Y, alleges that Tesla employees were able to access the images and videos for their tasteless and tortious entertainment. I can't even say that word.
Tortious.
It's tort, I-O-U-S.
Not the
tortious.
Yeah.
Tortious.
We're not lawyers.
It is something. And the humiliation of those surreptitiously recorded.
Surreptitiously?
Surreptitiously.
So we'll go with that.
That's it. Like anyone would be, Mr. Ye was outraged at the idea that Tesla cameras can be used to violate his family's privacy. And the California Constitution scrupulously protects against that. Jack Fitzgerald, an attorney representing Ye, in a statement said to Reuters.
So remember, now we talked about this a few weeks ago, that this footage leaked, even footage of Elon's own Tesla got out.
Oh, yeah, it leaks.
So he's got a huge... But again, like your Roomba's watching you, your doorbell's watching you.
Oh, everything's watching.
Just assume everything's watching you, you know.
Your doorbell is watching you, for sure. China is slowly squeezing global automakers out of the massive market in China. VW and BMW have offered positive sentiments about their business in China, but the reality is their share is shrinking as buyers choose electric vehicles from domestic brands with stronger connectivity and software offerings. I bet Warren Buffett likes that. They're loving his bid vehicles. Legacy automakers have been sounding optimistic lately about the vehicle sales in China, heading higher following the great reopening. Whatever. Volkswagen Group and CEO Oliver Blums seemed to come away bullish from his visit in February, and others such as BMW have offered similarly positive sentiment. The near-term swagger hides an uncomfortable point for established automakers. Many of them are slowly but steadily getting squeezed out of the Chinese auto market. International legacy automakers have watched their share of the market shrink from 1% or from 61% in 2020 to 41% in the final quarter of last year. So China is, and you know, in China they'll just tell you you're buying Chinese cars.
Right.
They're going to tell you got to buy this electric car.
Well, the other thing about China is there's no intellectual property rights. I mean, I have a friend one time that went. He sent me pictures. He couldn't email me from China, mind you. He had to wait till he got home to send this to me. But he said, I went to a store, looked just like a Walmart, right? And he said, I looked at all the products. They looked strangely familiar, but slightly different. And then he went and he took a lot of pictures. So, I mean, imagine a store like a Walmart full of products that look just like or almost just like the American product, but made in China. So there's stories about how, like, you know, China doesn't buy Barbie dolls. They buy a box of Barbie dolls, and then all of a sudden everybody in China has a Barbie doll. But
yeah.
They didn't buy them from us.
No.
And there's nobody, they don't get sued for it. So there's this whole thing about intellectual property in China. So, I mean, they're smart. They don't buy our junk. They make us buy their junk, and then they don't buy our junk
Well,
back.
this is why Warren Buffett invested in BID. They sell them over there.
Yeah.
He'll get all the money. He'll get his investment will grow because they're selling them in China.
Mm-hmm.
and not all over. He's not going to be able to sell them all over the world.
'cause
China's not going to let them.
Right, exactly.
Well, and most people, I'd be worried about doing any kind of business with China right now.
Right.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible or not. All right, one more story before Chuck tears us up with his new innovations. The Toyota. Now, I've said this for a long time. Toyota plans to make hydrogen fuel cell kits for Class 8 trucks, for the big ones. Toyota North America is moving forward with repurposing technology from its Mirai fuel cells passenger sedan to create a hydrogen power kit for heavy-duty trucks. Hydrogen is going to be the way. The automaker said Monday the California Air Resources Board granted a zero-emission powertrain executive order for the heavy-duty truck fuel cell electric powertrain. The order certifies a powertrain complies with emissions standards required for sale in California under CARB, the California Air Resources Board. Toyota started experimenting with building a hydrogen fuel cell Class 8 truck in 2017. It used two fuel cell stacks from the Mirai sedan and a cab and chassis built by Kenworth to create a prototype truck. Toyota now plans to begin assembling new, more efficient fuel cell modules for hydrogen-powered, heavy-duty commercial trucks at its Kentucky plant later this year. Toyota said the new powertrain offers improvements in energy efficiency and packaging size over earlier generations of vehicles. We believe hydrogen will play a significant role in the emissions reduction of heavy-duty transport while not sacrificing the distance, power, or fueling times needed to keep those fleet trucks running.
So one of the things that I think about when I hear this is, you know how traditionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, is traditionally in this country the manufacturers have always made their vehicles to basically the California emission standards. Right?
Absolutely.
So whatever California says, that's what my car in the Midwest has to do. So can you imagine, though, a scenario where you have almost two sets of cars? We have a set of cars for California and New York, and then places that are less stringent, I can get a cheaper car with less, extras for pollution control.
You can look for companies like Caterpillar and Mack and Kenworth and Detroit Diesel start coming up with complete internal combustion hydrogen motors, no fuel cell.
Right.
And that will burn zero.
But I'm saying, imagine if I buy a Caterpillar in Wyoming, it's going to meet a certain set of standards. But if I want to buy that Caterpillar in California, it's going to cost me $5,000 more because of all the pollution control.
Oh, absolutely.
Extras.
California's going.
And then we're going to have
It's always been that way.
Right.
It's always been.
Well, but I'm saying then you end up with a black market where everybody's like, secretly shipping Caterpillars in from Wyoming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or getting Wyoming. I remember that. I think I told you a story about how people in California are getting Montana plates for buses and things like that because they can't meet the standards.
Right.
So
Montana has no standards.
So this always becomes an argument for people is, you have an idea in mind and your intentions are good, but we will always find a way. There'll always be a black market.
Well, there will be. These cars that you're finding on the side of the road for sale that have been flooded.
Oh, yeah.
The ones from Florida and Texas and that. That's what they do. They take them to the western states that don't have the regulations. If that car is totaled in Illinois,
yeah,
or most any other state, Florida, and it gets sold by the insurance company to a recycling yard, the title is stamped not junk. It's called totaled.
Right.
Or if somebody rebuilds it, they'll have to be certified, and they'll say certified rebuilt.
So, right.
But they don't ever tell you that they don't have to do that in Montana.
Well, but here's
and other western states. They can go there, title it there, and then bring it back here and sell it with nothing on the title. So you are not anywhere aware of their problems that their cars had before.
Well, I'll tell you a different angle on that. My neighborhood flooded many years ago, and a lot of people's cars got stuck in the flood, including one of our second cars. And a group of guys just walking down the street, handing out business cards saying, "We want to buy your car." Was your car in the flood? Yeah. Well, it's totaled, right? It was underwater. He said, "Doesn't matter. We're going to pick it up. We're going to dry it out. We're going to take it to Mexico."
They wanted to buy it and get the title before it got into the
right.
insurance
But
company.
he said, "We're taking it straight to Mexico." He said, "We're going to put it on a truck and take it to Mexico and going to just I assume, just going to wash the title.
Yep.
And just sell it as. I mean, he was honest about it. I said no because I don't want you to try to sell it to somebody else.
If you don't do an insurance claim on it, nobody knows that it was flooded.
Right, and that's what they're asking is if it's paid off. If it's basically we had a paid off car, and he said, so it's like we'll take it. I said, well, it was in the flood, and she said, nope, we'll take it. We'll pay you what it's worth. We're going to put it on a truck, and it's gone.
Yeah, see, that's the unscrupulous side of the business. Let me just tell you.
Right.
Not good. But hey, it's out there. It is out there. Now, we were talking about all kinds of different things car-wise here, and it's time that we, do you ever get curious about the latest technology? You know what the latest technology is? Why don't we ask Sir Charles? Because I think he knows.
Well, I don't know either. You just hand it. I was trying to act like, is that Johnny Carson? He's doing it like this. There we go. Got my list here. Karnak. Okay. So you handed me 3 stories. I'm going to look at them real quick and just see which ones I want to do. Okay. So I want to do this one last. Let's do it. Okay. So here we go. So you handed me the first article you hand me.
He's very, very, very upset.
The first article, I'm just letting out a sigh. Consumers want to drive what they espouse.
Oh, yes.
Product developers are hard at work selling what they call vegan leather, which isn't leather at all.
Your car's going to be vegan, Chuck? Come on.
My Volkswagen's organic, locally sourced, organic. It's made from local parts, pulled from right here in the neighborhood. Product developers are hard at work selling what they call vegan leather, which isn't leather at all. Japan's Ultra Fabrics holding supplier vegan interior materials to Tesla. The global rise in veganism and sales of vegan foods begs an automotive technology question. Why would vegans choose to sit on cowhide car seats? Leather seats help define luxury interiors, but product developers are now hard at work selling the similar traits of what they call vegan leather.
So are they afraid that their rumps are going to get fat or what, sitting on meat? Chuck, is this worthwhile? Come on. Would you buy a car because it had vegan leather in it?
Who was it? Was it P.T. Barnum that says that there's
one born every minute?
One born every minute, and apparently he doesn't want to drive with the. Okay. So I'm gonna try to play devil's advocate. I understand there are people in the world that have beliefs.
Oh,
that I may not. I will think long and hard about their beliefs while I'm enjoying a big steak tonight.
Me too.
I respect people's beliefs, even if I don't. So these particular people have a belief about being a vegan, and I respect that. They've tried to sell me on the product. I was not having any part of it.
No, me either. I tried, and I couldn't even eat one vegan meal.
So the idea here is that if you're a vegan, you don't want to have leather seats. Now, the interesting thing is, I wouldn't say that this is. I always like to say this is a solution looking for a problem. Now.
Yeah, I think it is.
I would assume, and again, I'm not a connoisseur of high-end luxury vehicles, but I assume that most of them have synthetic seats at this point, right? I don't assume that many of them.
Very few are leather.
I mean, like a lot of them, I think you have to get into like the Rolls Royce, or it's like,
or Maserati,
here's Mike the cow or Bessie the cow. We took Bessie and made her in a seat for you.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that most.
And I doubt there's any vegan Maserati drivers.
Well, I was going to say there's sort of a budgetary issue. Again, I don't want to insult vegans, but I don't think they can afford Maseratis.
No, well, I'm just saying.
I'm going to get a phone call on that one. But okay,
yeah, we probably will.
Okay, but my point is, I get where they're coming from, but I think it's a solution looking for a problem. I think you can easily get a car, no matter what brand it is. I don't even think Teslas are I don't know. I don't recall if Teslas are all leather seats, so they're specifically targeting like Tesla in this. I don't think Elon is big on leather seats. I don't know.
Most of them now are processed, and they're very, very soft vinyl or whatever. Not vinyl, but vinyl. My own says Sandy would say, my bride.
Pleather?
Pleather, yes, that's what it is. But I got to tell you, Chuck, I don't think that's going to appeal to vegans. I don't think they care about what they sit on.
Well, I mean, I would assume vegans don't want to drive a car anyway because it's bad for the environment. Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah.
You're not like
while they're hugging their tree, it's hard to drive a car.
You can get a vegan leather seat for your bicycle. I mean,
well, I will tell you, I personally, and it's my personal observation, Has nothing to do with WIMS or WHF.
The opinions of us don't represent anybody else.
Nothing to do with anybody else. The Gerard Media doesn't even believe in me. They don't even like me. But here, I have never been out to dinner with or been out with a vegan, somebody I know that's vegan, that didn't say, here, try this. It tastes just like meat.
Try this soy that looks like a turkey. He's like,
no, but here,
turkey.
he says, try it. It tastes like meat. Why do they want their food to taste like meat if they're vegan?
Right.
You tell me.
This tastes just like barbecue. Well, then why don't you eat barbecue? Okay, so
they're not going to buy these seats.
I don't want to get any more trouble. Okay,
that's a poo-poo. That's done. That ain't going to happen.
Moving on, George. Okay, so
that ain't going to happen.
GM eyes a windshield that can dim itself. GM's auto-dimming tech would prevent the driver from being blinded by the bright lights of oncoming vehicles at night. A windshield visor can help block a moment of glaring sun, but General Motors has a more comprehensive technology in mind for controlling glare day and night. An auto-dimming windshield. GM has filed a patent application for auto-dimming that will prevent the driver from being blinded by the bright lights of an oncoming vehicle at night. Now, this is interesting if it works.
If it dims it enough where you're not blinded.
Well, so one of the things, and I'm trying to...
But you can't dim it too much because then you can't see nothing.
Well, and I realize now one of the things I didn't know about as you get older, that becomes more of an issue.
It is. It's an issue with me.
Is that called astigmatism? I'm trying to remember what that's called.
I don't know, but I get blinded real easy.
So basically, as you get older, maybe you should just stay home at night. I don't know, but
most of the time I do.
So there you go. But so the idea is, there are people that are affected by these, and of course, everybody knows there's those jerks out there that put the 1 million candle power with xenon lights or whatever.
Oh, they love them. Yeah, I sell them to people all day long. They want them. You
should break the bulb before you sell it to them.
I'm really not happy about it, but if they want it, I'll sell it to them.
I mean, and again, I understand. This is like it should be available only in Montana. It's like I understand if you're in the middle of nowhere.
If you're in the middle of nowhere,
if you're worried about a deer jumping
the other
out
thing
on you.
about a windshield like that, and I'll be devil's advocate for a change. What about the cost? What about when you take a rock on the expressway?
Right.
Did you just explode a $5,000 windshield?
And the other interesting thing about that is, right, I mean, that becomes the question is depending on the layers and the technology, that little chip can now become a $5,000. It could basically spread and there's liquid in there or electronics in there. You've now ruined a $5,000.
Does it all leak
and
out?
Again,
what is it?
I don't know about the rest of you. I get a chip every year or so driving on the highway around here. So
if you drive in this area and you're on the highway for any amount of time, you do get a chip a year.
I'm honestly shocked I've not shattered a windshield yet.
Our boss, Rick, drives from Schaumburg to Michigan City. Mm-hmm. He goes through at least 2 windshields a year.
Yeah. I mean, but again, that's the whole thing is like, is it going to cost you $5,000 every time that happens? So
he pulls into the windshield place and they just go, "Hi, Rick." And they
punch your card here.
Yeah, punch your
card.
That's
10. You get the 10th free.
Yeah, after the 10th one, you get a free one.
So then the other question that I think of is, like for instance, when I drive in Chicago, there's a lot of sort of tunnels and there's a lot of places where you're popping in and out of dark areas. Or even like when I drive through Pennsylvania, you go in and out of these tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what if the technology doesn't keep up with you? What if it all of a sudden, that's...
Yeah, what if it's not? If it's dim and then all of a sudden now it's got to be bright and it's not, or open and it's not.
And it doesn't catch up to me fast enough, and now I catch up to the truck in front of me.
There's going to be... I'm sure their engineers are thinking of this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're thinking, period, but I think I'd like to see a windshield that automatically dims.
I could see a value in this. I absolutely could see a value from a safety aspect. And again, it's like everything else. You've got a good idea here. Let's see you develop it before it causes a bigger problem.
Let's see you get the glitches out of it, because they already are making cars that as a car pulls up to you, if your lights are bright, it automatically dims your headlights.
Right.
And it will do that for me if it dims my headlights on an oncoming car.
Right.
So, which can be good or bad depending on how dark the road is.
And some people, they make them get brighter when they see another car.
Yeah.
It's like, well, get brighter.
They seem to. I tell you what, I get blinded real easy.